Hey gang, Scott here. I got a tip for you today about selectively adding detail to your photos to draw your viewers' attention to the subjects that you want them to look at. I mean, this is an important part of visual storytelling, something I've talked about in a past video course, Story and Vision, and something that I'll talk about again in a course I'm working on now, so maybe upcoming in a couple of months if things go to plan. And one of the images I've been working on as part of this course, I wanted to share with you here because it's a good lesson about adding detail selectively, and there's a pretty nifty technique we have in Lightroom to do it in a very refined and nuanced way. So let me show you a couple of examples of adding detail selectively to bring out some interesting characteristics in a photo. This image happens to be black and white, but the technique works for color images as well. And for this photo, the main reason I took the photo is this statue of the Buddha, and I want to draw your attention to that. But there is also some wonderful detail to be had in the eaves of this temple here. This is in Jeju, Korea. A fantastic place. If you ever get to visit, you should go. And you can see that I've done some global texture and clarity, but to push further would just bring up everything too much, and remembering that I want you to first look here, but I do want to accent this bit. So that of course means masking. Now I'll open this one up, the masking here. So here's the detail for the statue of Buddha, and I'll hit that. And what's that doing? It's just doing texture and clarity. How did we get this mask, right? Very simple. I'll just repeat it right here. Create mask, objects. I'll use the box and kind of draw from the bottom up to the top, grab that, and I have my selection. And then from there, go ahead and add the detail that you want. In this case, I use clarity and texture to do so. Now, what about the eaves underneath that temple? Let's have a look. There's a more refined technique for adding more nuanced detail. To add detail under the eaves here, I want that to be more nuanced. I don't want to use the same level of texture and clarity. Those are going to be the sliders we used, but in a more subtle way. And I'll turn it off and on so you can see. Here's after. Before, after. Bringing it up a little extra detail, things that we know that clarity and texture will do as those brighters get bright. I mean, it's doing localized contrast, right? You have a contrast bump. It gives the impression of detail. And that's what so we get visual. It's not even the impression. We get the visual detail. But how did that get built up? That's actually more involved, right? You see several things here. I want to walk you through this because the notion is I can brush this detail in, and I only want to do it here in the eaves, but in a more nuanced way. So first, I start with a luminance range mask, and I want to get the tones of the eaves themselves. Now that's going to select a lot of things, a lot of these tones in the image, and refining the luminance range mask, and I'm only watching underneath the eaves. I'll keep those deep shadows basically unaffected, and then it's really the low midtones through the midtones tapering off at about maybe 3/4 of the way across our histogram. That's step one. Next is I'd love to be able to brush this in. Well, I'm also lazy. I don't want to have to be careful about my brushing here. Let me eliminate the statue from the mask. So we'll select an object with subtract, right? We'll subtract using that same box and take the statue away. All right, with those two things done, I can now intersect with a brush, and we'll now start to brush in, and you can see what's happening here, right? I'm brushing in the area underneath the eaves that I cared about. If I go over into the statue, doesn't matter, because the selection over on that mask area is protecting the statue from my brush strokes, right? And I can get up into here, and I don't even have to worry too much about going outside the lines for if I went all the way up to the edge of this temple eaves. I'll probably back that off later because I'm really just interested in the under part. And finally, can start doing the adjustments. I'll push it really far so you can see what's being affected. And then I want a much more nuanced look on that, something like that before and after. And as I said, I'll You can see what I did on the previous one. I didn't go all the way to the edge before, after. I kept my things localized here. Just that little extra accent. So that's a couple of examples of selectively adding detail to your photo. And again, the reason is to draw attention to the interesting things in the photo. What do you want your viewer to look at? Emphasize those things. Hope you found the video useful. Questions? Drop them below. And until next time, my name's Scott Davenport. Have fun.